2026, 4:30 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order. Item 2, please rise for pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome our guests. And if anybody has any comment to make, you can do that at the public comment. Roll call, please.
Sagami,
Here.
Jordan,
Here.
Hubbard,
Here.
Mumper.
Here.
Public comment, item 5. Mr. Jim.
Good evening, Jim Henson, 502 Arrow Street. First, I'd like to thank Trustee Jordan for his continued commitment and dedication to keeping Weston a great place to live. Your efforts are greatly appreciated, and you've made a positive impact on our community throughout your various roles here at the Village of Weston. Second, the Public Works Director's report mentions deficiencies in pavement markings and manhole covers. But could the committee this evening please discuss and share with the public how this is even possible? I didn't read the original bid document, but I can almost guarantee the lines, arrows, and crosswalks were not supposed to be painted in disappearing ink. I respect that we didn't perform that work, so just looking for some clarity here. Roads have been built for 100 years with manhole covers. How is it possible that we can strike a military target 7,000 miles away in hostile territory, undetected with pinpoint accuracy, but almost every single manhole is set 2 inches below where it belongs? It seems like someone is missing the mark along the way. Is there some strange construction Bermuda Triangle here in Weston which prevents elevations from being transferred onto cast iron and plastic? Please provide clarity on this for those of us who are not experts in the field. I would also once again like to state my disapproval for the decision to move forward with a roundabout at the intersection of Alderson and Jelinek. While the intersection is certainly in desperate need of improvement, I don't think a roundabout is in the best manner to do so. In addition, I'll also express my disagreement with the decision to chip seal any roadway in the Village of Weston. I personally do not see that it has a long-term successful positive impact. Many of the previously chip sealed surfaces suffer severe raveling and end up in worse shape than they were prior to the chip sealing in just a few years. I would rather see these funds be dedicated and put toward a more robust solution, such as an overlay. Finally, I'd like to recognize the hard work and foresight of the Public Works team as a whole that they have incorporated into the planning and execution of their equipment selection methods. Being open to trying a different brand of equipment or a method of upfitting to maintain high levels of service in the most cost-effective manner. Being aware of impending emissions and industry standards and keeping ahead of them. This speaks volumes to the graphics which Director Wodolski has previously shared about how Weston can do more for less. Thank you all for your continued execution in prioritizing the best interests of the village.
Thank you. Item 6, approval of 3/9/26 Public Work and Utility Committee minutes. What's your wishes?
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Item 7, acknowledge March 2026 water and sewer permit.
Move to acknowledge. Second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Staff report, item 8, CIP update. Michael?
Sure. I guess, as we talk about manhole covers and line painting, that's why we carry retainage on projects. That's why we have warranty periods where the contractors do have to come back and redo the work that they did. You know, honestly, the manhole covers, they get set to a grade, the paver comes through, they pave it. They try to account for a certain amount of compaction that's going to occur, and I would agree, there's been kind of some shoddy, it hasn't been the greatest paving conditions on local streets in recent years. We've met with the representatives from one of the major paving companies over winter. In the next week or so, we'll be going through several of the last couple of years' projects and going over those repair methods with them as far as how we can get those smoothed out here for 2026. So redoing or reheating, figuring out how to get those repairs made on whether it's Schofield Ave, Fuller Street, Weston Avenue, even some of the overlay streets, and getting those taken care of so that they're smoothed out here and people aren't dealing with it for hopefully much longer. So we do follow back up with the work. It is part of the payment, hasn't 100% been made, so we do follow back up with the contractor here in spring. It's just usually when we have that late season paving, the plant's shut down and there's not a whole lot we can do until spring comes back and we can put new asphalt down. So, you know, Weston Avenue, we've got another section that's pretty much, it's pretty good dip there, settling next to a sanitary manhole. So that's another one where Integrity has it on their punch list to come back and redo. And again, we're still withholding a couple $100,000 on that project. So nobody's been fully paid. There's still money left to incentivize them to do that work themselves. Otherwise, we would use that fund to have somebody else redo that work. So we got a couple projects, the Bladel and Jelnick Alderson projects are out for bid currently. Rothschild also has their military project out for bid. I don't think that was opened yet.
Michael.
Yep.
Actually, we knew those manholes just a day after they opened the road. The first time I drive on it, I knew that's the problem with it. Same thing, Michael, and we discussed that to put them on the punch list to fix them. So. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we got others. Yeah.
That hasn't been out. I think they open on the 22nd.
Okay.
Somewhere around.
Yeah, I saw it was out for bid, but I don't
Another
think they
week or so,
opened
I
yet.
think the bid will get open.
Yeah, so none of the major capital projects for this year have opened yet, but still working through. They're out there in the contractor's hands. And then our Ross Avenue projects, we're going through those designs. We do have a public information meeting that will be held here on April 30th for the Ross Ave and County Road X project. The county is the lead agency on that, so I guess technically it's the Marathon County Highway Department holding the meeting, but it will be held in this building since we're right on the project site here. Besides just that intersection, they'll be repaving the roadway or reconstructing the roadway from Sternberg through Eau Claire Avenue. We did have a meeting with the DOT, kind of give us an update on Business 51. That's currently slated as a 2030, 2031 project. I kind of cringe every time we get a meeting invite for a project update because usually it just means the project got moved back one more year. So that's where we're at right now on that one. The Well 3 project, if you've driven past the treatment plant, 8 Pine and their subcontractors have begun work on the addition there for the iron and manganese removal. And a couple of our subdivisions have some green trees still building out there in the Sandy Meadows. Granite Ridge is working on water and sewer installation south of Old Costa. And Hinter Springs is at a slight pause, but they have a small addition going in for a few more lots at the end of Green Pastures Drive, which they'll likely be starting, I'd guess, sometime in April here. So got another full slate of work for 2026. That's all I got.
That's it.
That's it.
Question for Michael? You know when they're gonna start for doing the punch list?
I talked with Haas Construction last week. He was getting the painters and some of those guys lined up to come in. I know they like to make sure temperatures stay consistent. So
Yeah, that's important.
we need the weather to figure out what it's doing here, and then we can get that taken care of. Yeah.
The other company did painting in the village in Portland, and they're not looking good either.
Yeah. And I know the county had a couple of roads too where they had a similar thing that after winter here, the center lines and other such markings are essentially gone. So
So speaking of county, can we get the county to take care of Camp Phillips Road? Because it's really look bad. I mean, you can't even joke around it anymore. You can't drive. You drop in any of those potholes, you may have a damaged tire.
yeah, I believe it's next year, the state is doing their work on the overpass where they'll take care of essentially in between the signal lights. And I think that's generally the worst spot.
Well, but it's still, they should do the pothole and take care of those.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how people don't complain, they don't drive on it. And still, there is a hole when you want to turn, right at the beginning, that turning lane going west, there is a hole in there.
Everyone just
And
avoids
the
it.
manhole is.
That's been there for a couple of years now,
That's
No,
been around.
last year you tried to fix it.
and it didn't last very
It
long.
didn't last, no. No, it didn't last. So let's see if we can get him back, and maybe you want to talk to Jim, not to Kevin, talk to Jim.
Jim is gone. Kevin is now.
Is he really?
Yeah.
When did he go?
Last fall.
Okay,
Yeah, so
so Kevin is a highway commissioner.
he is, yes.
Well, still they gotta do it, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay,
What are they gonna do about the flaking of the concrete on Fuller?
That's another, yeah, so that's another one. A lot of the approaches are spalling, so that's another one where it's between the finishing company and the concrete supplier to figure out who's at fault and
Are they gonna report it?
They'd report 'em, yeah.
Okay.
That's been happening now for the last 5 years that I've been on jobs. I don't know what's going on, but it's not just to that job. It's been pretty wide area that's.
I think DOT let them do some testing and try it and use that. And they use it on Schofield Avenue from Alderson to Business 51. And we end up taking the whole thing out. So,
like, on the Crestwood project, we probably had almost 60% of those driveway approaches end up getting reported the following year because of that type of just popping, so. We had others by the Weston School, there's sections of sidewalk that just completely crumbled, over winter, so. Yeah, some years it's good, and then other years you look and you're like, man, that.
okay. Anything else? Item 9 is street operation update.
Yes, the public works was pretty busy during the month of March with the freezing rains.
It's the storm, it's.
Okay. So yeah, the most notable was the March 15th snowfall that took all hands on deck. The village staff did.
Just keep going.
I believe the village staff.
Zeros. There's something happening out there that's. All right, go again.
Yeah. The crews did a great job from all departments.
We turn it off.
No, because then we would turn off the Zoom feed.
Anybody up there?
There are a couple people on Zoom, yeah.
So yeah, the village staff did an excellent job between utilizing all the departments from the parks to the utilities and all of the DPW staff. And with that large amount of snow, all departments had to break up the loaders and
Maybe you should come sit over here. See if it doesn't carry, if it's something with that side. Just for the report, then you can go back.
so I'm saying with the departments all back working together, we had to break out the loaders with the mounted snow blowers on them to remove snow. We blew the snow back curbside where we could. And where we did not have room to blow it back, we blew it into trucks as we normally do and hauled it away to our sites. The two blowers were going up for a whole week. We were also cutting curb lines so people could get to their mailboxes and open catch basins so the flooding and roadways were minimal. The DPW was done basically plowing snow Monday afternoon. And that's when all the guys shifted gears to get from snow removal. That's included removal of the V boxes, the sander units, putting on the snow boxes onto our swap loader trucks, converted from plow trucks. Removal of the plow and wings of the two end loaders. They were equipped with them and hooked up the loader blowers and prepping all the haul trucks to blow the snow. Along with the snow removal, there was a lot of buildup on roadways that people were traveling on. So we did utilize an operator on there using our graders to scrape the slush and debris off the packed on surface. The grader also used the wing in the areas where there's gravel shoulders to push back the banks. The DPW had a couple guys out there putting on the seasonal road limits. They were able to get usually in one day, get everything posted from the town and to the village streets that are posted. And from the shop, pictured from the left to the right, unit 61, which is the ditch mower tractor, was serviced, replaced cutting blades, and replaced all worn bearings, pins, and hydraulic hoses. Unit 17, which is a plow truck, had rattles and clunks due to loose cab mounts. Pictures 3 and 4 is the unit 259 purchased the 2025 F-150 to replace the unit 59, which is a 1999 Chevy. They put a spray and bed liner and are in the process of installing strobe lights and fabricating a back rack for the window. Picture number 5, unit 206 and 207 are the utility vans that are getting strobe lights and light beacons installed. And unit 24 is getting the grader, is getting the plow and wing removed for summer grading to begin. Work not pictured. Unit 21, which is a 1-ton truck, front control arm, ball joints, idler arm, and alignment. Unit 10, another plow truck, replace the starter motor, change wire from the alternator to the battery. Units 961 and 962, which are the leaf backs, are completely serviced and repaired, ready to go for a leaf pickup. Unit 501, the mini excavator was serviced, looked over, and replaced seals for the quick coupler pins. Unit 113, which is the sidewalk machine and mower, they replaced the flails on the mower. Unit 42, the crack sealer trailer, checked over and serviced, getting ready for us to go crack sealing. Unit 106 was track mounted excavator. The bucket needs hard surfacing and repairs. And some additional work is inspect the equipment and made repairs in preparation for that snowfall. Wisconsin surplus auction concluded and all items have been picked up and paid for. Brian had wrote the spec sheet and received quotes for possible replacements of truck 10 and started seasonal changeover, removing the box salters, removing wings, washing, and parking snow equipment. That's all I got.
And that big snow we had, when we get to the intersection, one lane was they clean it all for some reason. But Alderson was like that, and I think Camp Phillips was like that too.
Mhm.
I'm not sure why.
I-
What was the reason?
I don't know the reason why it got, once I got packed on heavier than the other, I don't know if it's because of the people traveling and the heavy wet snow and temperature of the pavement, it seemed like it really adhered.
Yep.
So then it didn't pay to throw a bunch of salt on it, so that's why we went out with the grader and it peeled it off,
Okay.
just as fine.
Question?
What was the overall complaint level with the big snowstorm? Was it?
It was not terrible. Most people were very grateful for it. The biggest complaints were broken mailboxes from the dew, the snow getting pushed, and a lot of them were plastic, so that we were able to just go pop the tops back on. And a few ones that did get hit, we just went and replaced them. So it was about 13 of them that we just had to fix.
Anything else? I wasn't complaining. I was,
No, I just wanted to understand, you know.
yeah, sure. No other question? Thank you. Item 10, utility operation update. Josh?
Sure, we'll try over here. Seems to be all right. So yeah, we had some of our miscellaneous well maintenance items here. Guys were all cleaning some of the chemical barrels at a couple of the wells. Doing some preparation at our well 3 site for the upgrades in addition to the treatment plant. The guys also were spending some time in the treatment plant, cleaning out some spaces. We need to relocate some of our chemical barrels in there. So once they get into upgrading some of those chemical feed rooms, we can still be operational until time of shutdown needs to take place. We continued, I think we wrapped up with our 1.5 inch, 2 inch meter change outs. The guys were spending some time up in the mezzanine area, kind of getting some of our stuff that had still come over from the old location. We got some shelving and organized some of those items up there to make a little more space for other stuff. Continued on our meter card maintenance program, conducted some private well sampling. 2 of our guys did get new utility vans, so they're kind of working on moving into those. Sewer side of stuff, had a couple lift station items. The Mesker Jellic station, we did replace a couple spool pieces on pumps 1 and 2. We did some maintenance on the Ryan Street lift station aerator that just kind of bubbles air up. So it kind of keeps the surface from kind of coagulating and getting a hard mat on top of that. I had some maintenance over at a Kathleen lift station. Collected and cleaned all our pH probe data, recalibrated the probes themselves. Got to some of our bad spots. Guys cleaned out some of those. Did our usual lift station generator or standby generator maintenance. Cleaned and replaced some of the filters there. Utility locates are starting to come in a little bit more rapid these days. The guys worked on a handful of work orders. Most of those coming in now are some lateral inspections, some water quality responses, contract work. We mentioned kind of the treatment plant project for well 3 addition iron and manganese is underway. So the guys have been occupied doing a lot of that. Forrest had mentioned some of the operators did help out with the snow events we had over the month. Michael brought up the ongoing subdivision work with Green Tree and Granite Ridge. We sat down and got our mapping ready, so we'll be going out to start our valve exercising program. That's kind of ahead of our water main flushing. We should be getting a solid date to send out our water main flushing notifications, kind of waiting to make sure we dial in on when 8 Pine is going to be shutting down well 4. We want to have that available while we're doing some of our flushing. We'll get back to some of our lift station cleaning. It's actually not completed. It should be getting started up here prior to when we're going to start our jetting. After that, we had our customers added, our water pumped, and our wastewater flows. You might notice the March flows are significantly higher than kind of what's been trending. which kind of leads us into another item that we'll kind of be discussing here for some of our sanitary side. We had probably one of our higher flow data, the flow months in quite a while, so we're assuming it's some inflow and infiltration at some of our locations. So it kind of leads into, you know, some of our preparation we'd like to do for really honing in on where some of these INIs are taking place, so we can start getting some sewer lining program and plans together and projects, and, you know, identifying some manholes that might just be letting clear water run into it, and then we got to pay for it at the treatment plant. So we'll be talking about that item down the road here tonight.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Question for Josh?
Are you assuming it's somewhere you've got some kind of crack and or broken rupture or
I mean,
something?
there's probably numerous cracks, but it's, you know, I don't know if it's hard to
It
tell.
could be offset joints on
Yeah.
anything, there
Could
could
be
be
any-
a manhole it's not sealed right, and then
Yeah,
you
you
can
know,
get a lot of flow in it, so it
It
could be.
could have just been some of the temperature fluctuations caused some manholes to separate. Now you just got steady groundwater flowing in that we have to treat. And, you know, it's, our guys do a good job when we're out doing our sewer jetting program to identify some of these manholes. Then we can have a project to, you know, rehab these manholes so they don't have that infiltration. But there's really not a smoking gun unless you go there and visually see it. So kind of this agenda item to do some of this INI study can kind of help us start kind of honing in on more of these basins that might be taking some of this INI in, and we can start planning to how to treat some of this stuff. So
So some of those manholes sitting low definitely is a problem.
yeah. Yeah,
And speaking of that, I mean, there is a manhole, maybe a couple of them, on Weston Avenue between Alderson and Birch. Those are sitting low, we gotta be check a look at those. Okay, we talk about it a little bit when we get to INI contract, I think, talk about it. Policy discussion and recommendation, item 11. 2026 street maintenance bid result and recommendation. Michael?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to best group this, so I made it item 11 to kind of go over the overall, and then each pavement maintenance technique, I guess I have as a separate, you know, A, B, C, D, E item. Overall, the total cost from bid results is about $16,000 less than estimate. I guess I knowingly put a little extra on there, not sure what oil prices and some of that stuff was gonna do this year, and I guess I maybe was up a little higher than initial, but our, you know, kind of assuming with our bid results, we have about through the general fund operating budget, we have a $600,000 line item, and then you have a $300,000 in capital funds, primarily for the concrete repairs and the overlays. So there's 900,000 in budgeted for street maintenance. So right now is 847 of that would be 847,000 of that would be accounted for. So still about $53,000 in contingency. If there's additional projects or items that come up throughout the summer, or if we want to hold that a little bit just to see if fuel prices for our general operations is higher, that I guess that's kind of our cushion to work within for that. You know, sometimes there's another street that we might want to try to pave or another item too. So I guess that's there. So the first bid we opened was the crack sealing bid. We had two bidders on that project in Thunder Road and Farner. Farner was the low bidder with a base bid of their 75,362. Then they did propose a mastic sealant for parts of Schofield Ave and Ross Avenue, which would be a better product on the wider joints. You can kind of, so if we add in that the mastic add-on, that's an additional, well, I thought I had the total there. So it's 15,000. 619 for a total of 90,981. You can kind of see that in their bid here. Like Schofield Ave, their bid was say 8,800 versus Thunder Roads, which was 18,006. Mainly it's because they said there was a bunch of cracks there that wasn't going to be worth putting regular tar in, so that's why they gave the mastic option. And Ross Avenue has a similar difference between the two of a 12,000 for Farner and the 28,000 for Thunder Road. Again, that was due to those two mastic proposals. So if you're wondering why that initial difference was so drastic, I guess big part of that was on those two roads. They didn't think it was worth crack sealing parts of it. So. I guess I'd be looking for a recommendation on the crack seal project award then.
Just a question, Michael, in regards to the earlier comment we had, in regards to, sealing. Can you just refresh us? Was it if I remember right, X years ago, they had a problem with the formulation of that?
Yeah, so the chip seal we haven't done, I think since 2022 was the last year we chip sealed the road. And I paused and I've been watching Rothschild, Cronenwetter, and some of our other neighboring communities and they kept chip sealing. So, in talking with the providers, we no longer are speccing a polymer emulsion in there. It's more of a straight oil. So it's a different blend of the chemistry. And I guess talking with others, they haven't seen that the stripping and I guess the peeling of the chip seal like we were seeing in the early 2020s. So I guess in my opinion, it's worth, those areas are pretty extensively cracked through our roundabout in Sandy Lane. It's where proposing the chip seal, and it is a double chip seal that's being proposed there. So we would have 2 consecutive layers of it and then a fog seal on top to lock in the chip. So it almost ends up being, about 3/4 of an inch thick at the end of the day with a little bit of extra cover with the top coat of the fog seal. And honestly, I think that if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if we don't try it again, I guess we don't know if it'll ever be a viable option again. So
I just wanted in the public record.
yeah.
What your exact explanation was, because my recollection was, we were having bad results.
Yeah, and both those roads are so kind of alligator cracked right now that I don't know if an overlay would probably reflect through pretty quickly on those ones. So we'd probably be looking at a repaving on those roads if the chip seal can't kind of lock in a lot of that spider cracking.
Thank you.
It's your wishes. I'd like to see we use language they have in here for the motion, please.
You just need to move to acknowledge the overall bid results, or we want the specific?
Yeah, I guess I kind of passed on 11 and went straight to 11A.
I think they recommend we go with the Farner,
Yeah.
$9,981, so.
Yeah, okay. I'll move to recommend the village board award the 2026 crack sealing project to Farner Asphalt to include the mastic add-ons for Schofield Ave and Ross Avenue for a total price of $90,981.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed? I have it, thank you. Item 12. Replacement plow truck.
Oh, no, 11B, sorry.
Yeah.
I got a whole bunch of 11s to go through.
Oh, I thought you went through the whole thing.
I can if that would be the preference, but then each item has its own, I guess, bid recommendation.
Okay,
Uh,
item B.
Yeah, so that is the Gilsonite kind of pavement rejuvenator. So it's placed on our newer pavements to help restore its original asphalt content and keep it flexible so the cracking is less. There again, we had 2 bids, one from Farner and one from Scott Construction. And Farner was the low bid at $73,942.95. had a little over 90,000 budgeted there, so we're about 18,000 under that line item.
Okay.
I move, to recommend and approve the 2026 Gilsonite pavement sealing project to Farner Asphalt for a total bid price of $73,942.95.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Item C, chip sealing.
All right, so yeah, so this is the one we kind of talked about. Again, I guess the other thing I forgot there too is we did change the type of chip we're recommending to. So this will be more of a black chip. That is something Cronenwether and Rothschild have used as well in recent years. So I guess another little thing that we're modifying there to hopefully have something that proves itself again as being a worthwhile maintenance technique. So we had two bids, one from Farner and one from Scott Construction, with Farner being the low bid. And then with that one, I guess we are moving forward with the recommendation of fog sealing over the double chip. It helps to reduce the lost aggregate really after plowing. That first winter, historically, we would see issues of chips ending up in people's yards because it gets scraped off by the plows and in the snow. And then when the snow melts, everybody has a bunch of rocks in their grass. So, and then you also lost a bunch of material that was put down and you paid them to put down. So
So who's the Scott Construction?
they're a pavement maintenance company down in Lake Delton, Wisconsin. They've done work in the village before. Yeah.
What's your wishes?
I'll move to recommend the village board award the 2026 chip sealing project to Farner Asphalt for a total bid price of $55,724.30.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Second.
I'm sorry, I'm going too fast tonight. Is there a question on that? No question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Oppose? I have it. Item D, asphalt overlay.
Yep, so again, we had two bidders on this one, RC Pavers and American Asphalt. RC was the low bidder. Essentially, they were about a little $2.50 a ton less than American Asphalt. And with the bid results coming in, we did have Willard Lane kind of split between a south and a north section. The north section was worse. But with the prices coming in the way they did, I guess I'd recommend the whole length of Willard Lane, so doing alternate one as well. So the base bid plus the alternate on that for that road.
Okay. What's your wishes?
I'll move to recommend the village board award the 2026 asphalt overlay project to RC Pavers based on their base bid of $237,997 plus the alternate one price of $24,948 for a total project cost of $262,945.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? I have it. Item E. Schofield Avenue concrete repair, Masker Street to Ryan Street.
Yep, so this would cover the eastbound lanes between Ryan and Mesker. I guess probably more likely Teagan Lane. I think there's just one or two patches east of Teagan, but this would be a full depth concrete joint repair, as well as some spot curb and gutter, and there's several inlets along the way as well that would be taken care of. Anything related to the inlets or the manholes would be paid for by the utilities. So the street portion of this total is $199,812, and then the storm sewer portion is $6,500, which is I had 200,000 in the kind of initial budget, so the $199,812 is kind of right at that $200,000 mark. And on this one, we had five bidders, and Norcon Corporation was the low bidder.
And we consider everything in there, there's no extra there, area there.
No, Forrest and Steve Lake, one of our crew leads, went out and marked everything last year. From Mesker, ideally, we would like to do both lanes, both east and westbound traffic, but we'd essentially, we'd need to double our budget. So we figured we'd do eastbound this year and we can likely do westbound next year.
Okay, what's your wishes?
I'll move to award the 2026 Schofield Avenue Concrete Repair Project to Norcon Corporation based on their unit prices on the attached bid tab for an estimated total price of $206,312.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion. One more question. We did the patching in the past on the Schofield Avenue. Are those, how long they last? What's the life expectancy of it?
We have some patches that I think are still original from about 2015, so they've gone 10 years in.
That's right.
As long as we get back to sound concrete, they seem to last pretty well. It's the times where and this is kind of the jigsaw puzzle, right? You cut this joint and you think it's good, and then you skip, and then all of a sudden this section starts failing and it can start working its way back into the one that you did repair. But generally speaking, if we made a full depth, I should clarify, a full depth repair, those all seem to last. It's just trying to get to them before they start spreading too much.
Thanks. Other question? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Okay, now item 12,
All right.
replacement plow truck purchase.
So Brian Schmidt is our fleet foreman. He probably did about 99% of this. I just took his words and tried to craft it a little bit. But for 2026 here, we were initially looking at a replacement for truck 10, which we then sought quotes from some of our local truck dealers on. And we got those prices back from the International, the Mack, the Freightliner, I believe the Western Star. And, and looking at the quoted prices, the initial, the Mack truck is the most expensive. However, we've had several of these different brands in our fleet now for, I guess forever to a certain extent. And the Mack trucks we have seem to just be built better. They seem to have, more power. They hold up their value, and their longevity. We mentioned truck 17 was in getting repairs over winter. That truck is not a Mack, it's one of the competitors. So, we see these other brands in the shop more frequent, more often for maintenance compared to what our Mack trucks have been in. When we started our kind of vehicle replacement schedule back in 2012, we figured a plow truck should last us somewhere around 10 to 11 years, because at that point we were hitting almost complete failure with our trucks. We were replacing rear axles. We had transmissions that were completely blown. We've got trucks now, the two Macks we're looking to replace, one is 12 years old, one's 11. And we haven't had that major repair yet. We're starting to see some of the minor warning signs starting to pop up, but we haven't had the major complete failure yet, which was always the goal, is to change these vehicles out before we absolutely need them to be in service, and they can't be because they have a major repair. So, when a snowstorm hits in March, we want to make sure we got our whole fleet available to us and not, half of it. So, Brian went through a lot of information here, comparing the different truck chassis and the boxes, the builds, really comparing the Mack to the Freightliner to the International. And then on the budget side of things, we had this one truck in 2026 and another truck planned for 27. as we looked at the emission standards and some of these other changes to engines coming down the line, I guess our ask is, could we order 2 of them right away so that we end up with 2 trucks, 2 chassis that for us here in 2026, and then we get the builds would happen in 27. So we'd use the 26 budget funds for the chassis and the 27 funds for the truck build portion. So.
Question.
So I hope I'm not asking a stupid question, but so you're asking to buy both trucks, but only outfit one and use it in the coming season and leave the other one sit?
Well, no, yeah, no matter what, we'd probably be getting the chassis delivered to us in November. So if we order now, we'd get it right, kind of October, November, and more than likely they wouldn't be built and ready to go even for this 26, 27 snow season. We might get it maybe by March if we were to get it built right away with the contracted service, which we would be looking to have one built through them, and then we would have a truck to mimic and build in-house with our staff.
And we're convinced that makes the most sense, and that's overall cheaper than having them do 2 at the same time.
I think no matter what, we're paying for their labor to do it all. And the parts, we could get them at cost. Yeah, I'm guessing there's probably some markup by having them by the plow, by the box. So we did upfit one of our 1-tons last year. And, when we ran even our employee hours and what that would cost us as the village, we were money ahead having our staff do it. And the quality of the build, I think, is top tier. And we have our notes then of the wiring and everything, instead of our guys having to run over and verify like, yeah, that looks good, or, our staff has their eyes on it, the whole time. Because Brian can answer anything else there too.
I guess one question, what is the most common in your experience truck purchased by municipalities?
The most common is probably the Freightliner, just be sometimes. Like Marathon County, I think it's strictly on price, wherever comes in cheapest. But the Mac, like I have in the packet, I believe it holds resale the best, and it's definitely by far the best truck. It's like, you look at our 2015 and 2014 Mac trucks, we don't have any door handle issues, door hinge issues, dashes rattling. They're just solid built trucks compared to, I feel like a Freightliner truck is more highway related truck. Like a Freightliner semi truck running coast to coast is probably fine. And then with the emissions, Michael, I touched on it a little bit, but so there's big changes coming as of 2027. And I really want to get ahead of those so that we don't end up with basically the guinea pig for the first year engine of all these changes.
No, that I definitely agree with. No, don't be first.
So delivery is when then?
October, November.
So, yeah, it depends on the manufacturers. So most of them are saying August, September, October are the build slots. And then, so we would probably realistically, like Michael said, probably see the truck in December, early December. And then it would go to the bodybuilder, and then probably by spring, we would see the first truck.
Okay, so then you'd be looking at selling the existing trucks in the following summer.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Front of the next plowing season.
Correct, yeah.
So a good chance you get that money back then,
Yeah.
timely manner, so to speak.
Yeah. I think they'll be pretty good value. They're really nice clean trucks yet.
That's a good value.
70 to 80,000 each.
What was you sold? You said you got it more than what you were thinking, 200,000, you got what, 350?
We got 352 for the sewer truck, yeah.
Okay. Other question?
I guess I would be in favor of the max at getting both of them prior to the next
Is that a
policy.
motion?
Sure. I'll move to recommend the village board authorize staff to purchase 2 replacement tandem axle Mack truck chassis from Creek Truck Center for $177,063.72 each, as well as upfitting one of the trucks using Scott's Heavy Truck Repair for a quoted price of $188,425.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Oppose? I have it. Thank you. Item 13, 2025 municipal storm sewer system report. What's that, MS4? Who's doing that? You, Josh?
Yeah, it'd be me. So that's our annual storm sewer report that we submit to the DNR at the end of March. I don't know if really not a whole lot of highlights on there. If you want to page through it, you can. You know, we just keep track of how much, they want to know how much salt we use, how many inspections we do, how many construction sites are active throughout the year. A lot of the inspection work is done through our building inspectors, so Roman, Travis, and Scott when they're out on site. And then if they see something that needs follow-up, then usually myself or Forrest would get involved. Then we also will go through our major outfalls during dry weather to make sure there's no illicit discharges. So if it hasn't rained in a week or so, water probably shouldn't be flowing. And if water is flowing, it means somebody's connected to our storm system or is putting something in their storm system that shouldn't be there. So it's almost the inverse of our infiltration issue with the sanitary sewer, where we would rather that sump pump into the storm sewer versus the sanitary sewer. So over the years, we found a few things where people were doing things they shouldn't do, and we followed up. The DNR's followed up. So, but overall, 2025 was a kind of boring year for our stormwater system, which is a good thing.
Michael, you mentioned in here that there's new requirements for the Wisconsin River total maximum daily load.
Yeah,
TMDL.
correct.
For phosphorus. If and when we construct the new storm pond near the highway, will that likely keep us under these new requirements?
Yeah, so we have.
Or are we under now?
No, we're not under. So it all funds under the Wisconsin WPDES permit, and I wish I didn't have just the acronym in my head for you right now. But every 3 years that gets renewed. So we have to show the DNR how we're making progress towards meeting our phosphorus reduction requirements every 3 years. So several years ago, our first requirement was to do the study. Then you had to show a 10% decrease every year moving forward. So once we build the pond, I think that actually buys us like 9 years worth of decreases. So we could take a little break if we wanted to, or we just kind of keep chipping away a little bit at a time.
And that should hit in 28, is that right?
Correct, yeah. Or yeah, we're in 26. Yeah.
And we'll be okay until 28 then?
It'd be right there. So as long as we have, so we did submit Clean Water Fund loan applications, which is also through the DNR. So as long as we're showing that we're working towards it, we're serious about it. We have bid documents together. So as long as we are doing that, that counts as we're moving towards it. They're not gonna penalize us
We're
for,
gonna have a gap year.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
Anything else?
No.
What's your wish?
I'll move to acknowledge the 2025 Village of Weston Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System MS4 report.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Item 14, surplus auction result. Auction result.
Yeah, so kind of mentioned earlier, we did have a fair amount of property that went up for auction in March here. The big ticket item was the sewer vac truck, which went for $352,500. The remaining items sold for a combined total of $10,295. Those funds go back into our capital equipment fund, and then the $352 for the sewer goes back to the sewer fund, really to pay off the some of the debt we had outstanding for the new truck we purchased. So, but just no, it's worthwhile to, we tell you we're going to sell this stuff. I think it's important to come back and tell you what everything went for.
So I saw some of the stuff. Nobody bought it, so what happened to them?
Then we generally dispose of it if we don't, nobody wanted it, so.
Okay.
But sometimes you'll be surprised how much people will give you for stuff that you don't think is worth very much.
Okay, I move to acknowledge the attached auction results for the surplus property as listed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you. Item 15, preliminary assessment resolution 2026-010 to 2026-012 for item E, A, B, and C. Just go through all of them.
Yeah, so per our special assessment ordinance, well, I guess the preliminary resolution is the board telling me to move forward with creating the assessment report and holding the hearing, which would be a separate meeting of the Public Works Committee. And so probably be looking at the middle of May for those to be held. Some of the Alderson Jelnik project, it really only, I think, impacts 2 properties. Bladel and the Concord projects would have more impacts, so we could probably piggyback the Alderson Jelnik with the Bladel one and then have a separate meeting for the Concord. So I have all 3 resolutions in there. They're pretty much the same. The one thing we assess is the drive approach construction, and none of these projects have new water and sewer. So there's none of that assessment on these projects.
Question?
I move to recommend the village board approve resolutions 2026-1010, 2026-011, and 2026-012.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
When are the assessments for Fuller Street then, like for that, when is that gonna go?
I usually wait for us to know the project is 100% done so that residents aren't getting their final assessment and they're like, well, there's still all this work to be done.
Okay, that's what
So,
especially when we know the concrete is.
yeah, there's concrete chipping, there's, some of the manholes, we got some the restoration for sure needs to be done here, so.
Okay, so they're not gonna see a bill till after the.
Correct, yeah, so we'll get those out probably later summer here, so we'd bring in the final assessment report to you guys, you'd approve it, and then those bills will go out and they'd be put on, I guess residents have the option to elect to pay in one lump sum, or they can tell us, put it on my tax bill, and then they'd get it as part of this upcoming December's tax bill would have a portion of it on it.
So if the cost come more than your assessment value, you have to hold a second hearing or
Or,
stay with your lower one and bite the bullet.
correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so, try to always estimate a little high and then, that way you don't have to have a second hearing and people are happy that the number is either lower than they thought it was gonna be, or it is what they thought it was going to be.
So who made the second? You made a motion, right?
Second.
Second.
Yeah.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I have it. Item 16, well number 1 rehab.
Yeah, our Alta Verde well located at Kennedy Park, kind of at the intersection of Alta Verde and Newport. Last time was rehab 2021. Well number 1 and our well number 5, we've kind of been limiting their use in the last probably year, just due to the elevated manganese and iron levels. So as part of our upcoming projects that's going to be happening on Bladel, we're going to be having to shut down well number 5 for a period of time. Part of our addition onto our treatment plant, we'll have to shut down well 4. So in the meantime, we do want to get well 1 back up and running. It's only pumped, 30,000 gallons over the last 4 months that we have recorded here. So we'd like to get that rehabbed. We did reach out to a couple of firms. Municipal Well and Pump always does good work for us. They got us a good price. We also had CTW on here. So, we have the funds for this to be done. And before we start putting water back in the system, I think it'd be good to have this well rehabbed.
So Michael, you read their contract?
Yeah, so that's their
Any
proposal.
comment?
Yes, so what's attached is their proposal. We would have an official contract put together before we submit it, so we can go through the liability and the insurance requirements on there.
They were also awarded the well 2 rehab that's going to be happening in a month or so, 2 months.
You give a similar contract?
Yes.
I just concerned about the liability part of it. Just want to make sure we cover, village is covered, that's it.
Yes.
If we're not ready, I wasn't happy, but. I'll take a couple minutes, read the liability part of the contract, please. And still, they're gonna give us certificate of the insurance.
Yeah, we require that before anybody does any work for us on our property.
Liability any different than our existing contract that we have with them?
I guess it does cover any negligent act or wrongful act. They are still liable for that.
Yeah.
Plus, they're liable for it, but if somebody come on by any imagination, well, sue the village, they should still cover that also.
Correct.
That's the important part of it, Jill.
Yeah.
So they're not, doesn't it read that they're not liable
What was that? I'm
for
sorry.
negligence?
Just the liability part of it. With regard to the negligence. So I want to give us they should give us the certificate of insurance and name the village in the box at the bottom of that certificate. The village is covered with their insurance. Right, Michael?
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
I mean, it does say, except for that this indemnification shall not apply to the extent any demand or cause of action results from contractor's negligence or intentional misconduct.
Okay, what's your wishes?
Right, I'll move to approve hiring municipal well and pump to rehabilitate well number one for a cost of $27,460.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I have it. Thank you. Item 17, sanitary sewer inflow and infiltration study.
So kind of how I mentioned previously about our increased wastewater flow for the last month. We had been in contact for quite a while with InPipe to do an I&I study for us. And I had noted in here, we had recently upgraded our televising camera equipment, our televising van. We have it added on software where we can better access this televising. But a lot of times it's, you know, we're more reactionary to say, hey, there might be a leak, there might be this, where then we send the cameras out. So we really want to have more of a proactive approach to finding some of these areas that we need to actually go and identify as potential areas that need to be addressed. So InPipe, what they would do, if you read through this, you know, they just kind of, we initially have this set up for kind of our annexed area up kind of by Wall Street up there where we know we've had numerous times we've had to televise and had some issues up in there. So this is kind of the first jump off point that our operators thought would be a good spot to kind of identify and see what we could get where they deploy their smart sensors through some of these basins where they can set up to kind of have dry weather conditions. Then they analyze it after rain events to kind of see what your rain derived inflow and infiltration is. They have their groundwater infiltration, but then they can have their overall flows where they can kind of see what the base is, plus the additional I&I to determine where our best areas are to televise, to see if there is cracks in the pipe, separation of joints, just simply manhole infiltration, overland flow coming into the manholes. So this is kind of our one piece that we're going to start out with. But in reality, it's probably necessary through most of the system at some point here to really, I mean, it's big dollars that we could be spending on treating this clear water when we could spend some money up front to kind of identify where some of these big problem areas are within the village wastewater system.
So how many extra gallon we had?
How many extra? Well, our December flow total was 30 million gallons. January was 32, February was 29, March was 43.
That's comparing with last year?
No, this is just month to month. So you can see we have a business 51 metering station that Rim Mountain Metro monitors, and then we have a Cedar Creek interceptor station. And so just from February to March, our business 51 metering station recorded 16 million gallons. In March, it was 25 million gallons. So that could be frost leaving and just more pathways to enter manholes, or, you know, freeze thaw could have potentially caused some disturbances in our system where we just have a lot of groundwater, or it could be, you know, more of the rain events coming in. But, you know, it'd be nice to have, instead of us trying to just use a sewer camera, trying to, you know, take hours and hours trying to determine where some of these bad spots are, using some of this technology that we have at the disposal of these, this company to kind of hone us in a little bit more, so we're not just spending time in the sewer camera truck just to spend time.
Have we talked to other communities that have used their services?
Well, I haven't talked to other communities around here. I did talk to them. They're out of Illinois, where they've done numerous studies down on some of the old parts. I think they're out of Wooddale, Illinois, I think is what they saw. So I know some of the communities down there that are pretty large communities that they've worked with.
I haven't worked with them, but I've worked with other ones that do the
Yeah.
same thing, and you find it, you can line it, it saves you a lot of money.
And we did have our.
$1,000.
I mean, we probably need to do another sanitary study at some point here in the near term, but, you know, we did, when we were doing our sanitary study, we did have, monitoring, but that was just kind of tracking what flows we would have. It wasn't really to determine, you know, what lift station is receiving what totals that could be eliminated based on some of these potential failing manholes or failing pipes.
And I guess the item to note there too, the majority of that, I'd say irregular flow went through our Business 51 metering station, which for the most part doesn't really have any, our lift stations pumping to it. That's the older part of the village. That's the area between the junior and senior high. That's the area just south of the highway, west of Alderson Street. You know, really helping us understand, you know, what.
That's what, like 50, 60 years old?
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff was installed. I mean, that is the original sanitary district from the late 50s, early 60s. So yeah.
And you get a lot of that rock that's coming from south across the freeway, across 29, and you get a fracture in there and you're gonna have water, groundwater coming in constantly.
Correct, yeah.
So that's, yeah.
So, but said whether, and we can try to take our televising truck out and canvas, you know, 40 miles of sanitary main, or hopefully these guys can pin it down to these, you know, hopefully 5 miles or less of areas to focus on. So, and then I guess the question too about the flow. So just based on flow, not some of the other things we get charged from, our bill for March was I thought I had this added and then I missed it.
182?
Yeah, so it was about $70,000 just for flow, whereas in February our flow was $46,000. So it's a big, it is a big cost, and if we're paying for, you know, just, you know, groundwater to go to the treatment plant, that's money we shouldn't be paying.
We're also the largest influence to that, isn't that correct?
Yeah, yeah, but that's strictly based on the Weston flows. Yeah.
How soon can you implement using it?
I think they'd be here this.
They've been hounding me. I wanted to get it on last month's, and they've been hounding me waiting to hear what we have for them. So it's really, they would probably monitor to see when we have some dry conditions, just so they can make sure there's nothing that's influencing that. And then, you know, I think they put in there, you know, there's not a time frame really to complete it. It's kind of, you have your dry conditions, and then it might be wait until you get a rain event or two to kind of complete the analysis of it. So.
Well, let's look at their contract too. Especially damage and the claim. He said, I think their cost should be equal to the purchase price. I think it should be the cost of the damage, whatever it's gonna be.
Yeah, we can work, I mean, this looks like it's formatted more towards the, they're really not giving us a good, they're providing us a service here, so we can work through that with them.
Could you please?
Yep.
Because that's not good, really.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as saying my liability is equal to my
Contract.
fee for engineering.
Yeah.
Or here the liability could be, because of that engineering is $1 million. We don't know that, so.
Yep.
So how we want to state that, say, we approve the contract subject to approve changing these.
Yeah.
According to the village requirement,
Yeah, that's fine. Can
so.
grab one of our more standard contract languages that Attorney Yeady's approved and.
And then also they should give a certificate of the insurance.
Correct, yeah.
Yep. Okay, I'll accept the motion on that.
I'll move to recommend the village board approve the proposal with Inpipe Technology with an adjustment for the liability terms so that it's not capped at their contract price, for a total of 10,000.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you.
And I guess just a point of comment, we are finishing up the Public Works and Utility Committee meeting. I'm guessing there's people in the audience and online for the village board meeting that was scheduled for 5:45, so they'll start as soon as we're done here.
We got a couple more items to go through, so. All right. Request for additional crosswalk on Alderson Street between Mount Olive and DC Everest. Michael?
Yep, I guess I received the attached email from I think some representatives from Mount Olive, just asking if it'd be possible for a crosswalk to be added somewhere in that general vicinity. Sounds like they do utilize the school district's parking lot when they have needs for overflow. We'll have that intersection down for construction, so a curb cut really isn't a big deal in the grand scheme of things. The one ask they did though for when there was something with a flashing signal. You know, I guess at that point, we're now looking at something more like a $25,000 add-on to the project versus something that's pretty much negligible with a curb cut and some striping. So I wasn't sure what there was, what the wishes were made by the committee, if we want to, you know, just put in the traditional crosswalk and see how that functions before we do something more, or if we, I was just looking for any feedback.
Has this been in front of the Public Safety Committee?
It has not. I can take it there
That was my
too.
First question.
All right.
I personally, I don't know however you guys feel, I feel like you keep things where they're supposed to be and you don't step across those lines.
All right,
So my first question when I read this part of it is I went, been in front of public safety? Because if the answer is no,
Yeah.
then my first comment is I defer.
I guess,
Because I think that's what they're there for.
well, we can make a motion to send it to the public.
And I
safety.
did have an additional comment too, which is, am I understanding this correctly? So we're letting a private user use public property. Is that correct?
well, we don't, I mean, we would just be installing the crosswalk, whatever agreement people
I
have
don't know,
as
but I
far
mean, they're
as.
using a parking lot on public property. Is that correct?
That is my understanding, is they have
And-
some agreement to utilize that.
Okay.
It's
and
not
then
the
so now
village. Yeah.
are we charging them for that?
That again would be a,
Cause it sounded like to me like they're getting something for free and now they want something free on top of free.
It's not our.
it's not our parking.
It's not our parking, okay, I wasn't clear.
The school uses their parking lot also. When they have a big event at
Okay,
the Green X
okay,
Center,
then
so
that
it's a
changes-
mutual, I think they have a
alright, yeah.
mutual agreement, so it's kind of a give and take there.
Okay, that's what I wanted, I wasn't clear about all that, how this all interconnected, because
Yeah, I'm just looking at it as.
if it's a back and forth, I take a much different viewpoint than, you know, than if you're.
Yeah. No, I was just looking at it strictly from if we need to put a crosswalk in, and actually timing wise works out with, you know, there's curb replacement and other items in that area, so we would just put a depressed curb and let it be a crosswalk versus.
Because of the nearness to the school, et cetera, I would feel much more comfortable deferring this to the Public Safety Committee.
Sure.
And then bringing it back here as to work. That would be my take.
Is that a motion?
I'll move to defer this for tonight and send it to Public Safety for their review and recommendation.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 19, solid waste and recycling ordinance update.
Valerie, go for it.
Yes. So yeah, as I stated in my report, last year, the DNR had made some revisions to the Wisconsin Administrative Code section that oversees the responsible units, which are also known as RUs, for their effective recycling programs. And because the revisions because with the revisions that were made, all RUs are required to revise their recycling ordinances so that they align with the state's administrative code. And so essentially, I just took the template that the DNR, my DNR representative sent, and I incorporated it into our solid waste and recycling ordinance. So that it would meet the minimum requirements. And I guess that's essentially it, but they're wanting all, RUs to have this done before the April 30th deadline for the annual recycling report. So that's why we're bringing this to you tonight. And then with the recommendation that you, recommended to the village board.
Question?
Other than to just say that staff is comfortable with what's presented.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just adopting essentially the state's updates to the requirements.
And I've been working closely with my DNR representative with my drafts, and so.
I was just concerned with the number of red lines. I was like, holy cow.
Oh, I know, that's why I figured we could really straight it, as it's like, we're pretty much like revising every section of it.
Okay.
So you're gonna make a motion?
So. So are we repealing the current one and then going with the one that's recommended by the state, or you actually want to use the? So what is the second part then, Valerie? The next part of this?
So, well, this is all one part, we're doing it all at one time, but we're, at least from my understanding, because of the amount of revisions that were being done here, I just thought it might be easier to go that route. Maybe I.
So your red line document is essentially the new
Yeah,
standard.
yep.
You took the old one, redlined it to get, that was my understanding. Like you didn't put in it as, here's the old one, here's the new one. It's, we redline the old one to make it conform to what the new one is now requiring.
It's an amendment.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from here, it would go to village board. If it was approved there, then it would just be rolled into our ordinance.
Mhm.
Accept the motion in this.
I'll move to recommend approval of the proposed recreated or redlined chapter 66 solid waste and recycling ordinance and forward the recommendation on the village board March 21st,
It should be probably April, right?
or it should be April, yeah,
April
at this
21st.
point, April 21st, 2026 meeting agenda.
3 and 4 are just right next to each
No
other.
second?
Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 20, adoption of compliance assurance plan.
So essentially, a handful of years ago, the DNR required that all RUs create a compliance assurance plan, basically just stating, okay, if you have an issue, like what kinds of certain issues that could come up, and how you would handle it with enforcement. And the plan only required that you had one example listed in there and how you would handle it. And so when that happened a handful of years ago, I just put it right into our recycling ordinance. And apparently it's supposed to be its separate, just standalone policy document. And so when I was working with my DNR representative, she recommended that at this point in time, pull that out of the ordinance and make it just a policy document. So that's all this is.
Okay,
I'll move to recommend approval of the proposed compliance assurance plan, CAP policy, and forwards the recommendation of the village board for the April 21st, 2026 meeting agenda.
second,
No second?
discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Future item, next meeting Monday, May 11, 2026 at 4:30 PM. That's a regular meeting. And then Monday, June 8, 2026 at 4:30 PM. Also, that's a regular meeting. Item 22, topic for future meeting. Village-wide WPS street lighting update. Michael, we should talk about it eventually. Item B, consolidation of Ryan Street. Yard-based site with the Village of Rothschild. Item C, water main replacement. Are we gonna rehire those people again?
I don't know yet. I think we have got enough of the starting documents, so we might just go with what we have.
Let's do it and update it a little
Yeah.
bit possibly.
Yep.
Okay. Item 23, remark from the staff. Josh,
No, I don't know.
Boris.
I do have about 200 of these postcards left, so if you have a place for some of them to go in the community, or if you'd like to take some to work with you, it would be great if you took some.
So,
Okay. Pick as many as you would like. Deadline is May 15th for the survey, and if anyone in the audience hasn't already complete the comprehensive plan survey, you still have time.
Anyone wants one?
I've done it. And I just want to say thank you to the village staff for that 31-inch snow removal. I'm sure there were a lot of very tired
I'm
people.
just gonna go around, put them in the mailbox.
Michael, did you have more comments? I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
We good? Stacy? All right. Remark from committee member?
I'm good.
Announcement, there is no announcement, except the motion to adjourn at 5:56 PM.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.